I rediscovered a story that I encountered for the first time when I was about 12 years old. Now, so many years later, this story reveals something about my own life to me. And that is why in this episode I thought I share with you, without spoiling the story, some observations and reflections that came to my mind while I was reading in a beautiful book. You probably noticed it already. This is a personal episode. Welcome back to Bold Books and Bones. It all began with this present that I recently received from my wife and my son. It is a wonderfully made new and English edition of the story called The Never-Ending Story, written by the German author Michael Ende. This particular copy is a 2022 edition and it marks the 75th anniversary of the Folio Society. It is beautifully illustrated by Mary Alice Harrell. I leave a link to her website and other information about this book in the comment section. As probably many of you will know, the famous movie with the same name was based on this book. For those who don't know the story, in short, it is a fantasy novel and it is about a young boy who finds a book in an old antiquarian bookstore. While reading this book, he becomes part of the story that he is reading, and through that he finds himself on a quest to save the life of a princess. Or so he thinks. This sounds like a pretty straightforward fantasy story, but it is not. After rewatching the movie recently and after reading the book for the first time, my first observation was that the movie tells a nice story. The book, on the other hand, tells a phenomenal story, and the storyline is quite different from the movie. This book did something with my mind. While reading it, images of my childhood flooded my mind, probably because I liked the movie so much when I was young. Consequently, I started to reflect on my past. And as you know, when you follow this channel, I have a background in psychology, so I could not refrain myself from looking at parts of the story from a more psychological perspective. And this brings us to the second observation. The second observation I had while reading the book were the obvious confidence issues that the main character struggles with. In the story, the main character is a young boy. His name is Bastian Balthasar Box, and he is 12 years old. A lack of confidence was very much my problem too when I was that age, and although it evolved a lot, it somehow stayed with me, and at times self-doubt tries to take the upper hand, even at my current age. I therefore call it one of my demons. Fortunately, over the years I have learned how to manage this demon inside my head when it surfaces. Just like the main character, I felt I did not fit in the community in which I grew up. And just like him, my mind was bursting with ideas, stories and fantasies. I'm dyslexic, and my severe reading and writing difficulties back then were one important cause of my lack of confidence. The third observation I had while reading the story was about the fantastic journey that the main character and his alter ego, whose name is Atreyu, experience together. Atreyu is in many ways the opposite of Bastian. He is a warrior, he is also kind like him, but he is without fear, he is brave and strong. The challenges they both experience, their ups and downs, their friendship and betrayal, is to me a beautiful symbolic reflection of how a life's journey can evolve. The story confronts us with many different aspects of life. At some point, it is about leadership and how it can corrupt a person. At other moments, it is about depression, about friendship, about luck, about seizing the moment. It is about understanding oneself, and the list goes on. Anyone who has experienced different things in his or her life is probably able to find similarities with their own life's journey. We could say, of course, but no, this is just a fantasy story, and that is of course true. But to me, and that might be very personal, this novel belongs to the kind of stories that can help us reflect on our lives, as it provides us with compelling and thought-provoking analogies of life events. It can help us reflect on the choices we have made in the past, as well as on the possibilities we have ahead of us. The fourth observation is about the incredible intelligent way the story is crafted. The author does the remarkable thing to let you read a book that is about a book which the main character is reading, and the book is written because it is read. So the characters in the story are depending on the person who reads their story. And while I read the book, and since this story evoked so many thoughts, emotions and memories in me, I was somehow part of the story too. And what is particularly remarkable is that I was not confused or lost for a minute, although the storyline has so many layers to it. And that is why, at least in my opinion, the author, Michael Ende, is a true master storyteller. Then the fifth observation, and maybe the most psychological part of the story. Well, at least to me, because this is of course subjective. It is the way the story plays with our outer and our inner world. The outer world is where you and I live. We need often to conform to the norms at work, at school, the demands from parents or family or a boss and so on. And then there is our inner world of ideas, of dreams, of hopes and fantasies, where we can be what and who we want to be. Our inner world is so personal and intimate as it belongs solely to us. In the story, there is one very bitter creature that lives between the two worlds and is full of anger because it does not belong to either world, which I find a fascinating part of this narrative. I think that anyone who ever felt that he or she does not belong can relate to this. Now, our inner world can be a safe haven for us, or for some of us it might be a place where we constantly run from. And in the never-ending story, the main character feels so comfortable in his inner world of thoughts, ideas and feelings that he starts to lose himself in it. This is such a beautiful and powerful symbolic representation of what many of us might experience at some point in our lives. I will say no more to avoid spoiling the story. Linking this back to reality, we could think, for example, of circumstances where we feel not accepted in the outer world. We might then hide in our inner world. We become scared to share our inner world with others, and consequently we might end up feeling extremely lonely and lost. You already see it, of course. To me, the never-ending story is a fantasy story that is not only entertaining because of its compelling narrative, but it also mirrors many aspects of our human life. I'm curious which story has had a similar effect on you. Please feel free to share what you like to share via the comment section underneath this episode or via direct message on the Bold Books and Bones Instagram page. I'm always happy to read what you think and to interact with you. And if you like this content or any other content on my channel, then subscribe and in this way support me in creating more content for Bold Books and Bones. So to conclude, I recommend this book because it is a beautiful story and it is beautifully told. Maybe some might say it is just for teenagers, or maybe it is for adults too. Either way, it is a story with a positive message. Or maybe for some of us, like for me, it is much more than that. I'll let you decide, of course. I will return now to my books and to my inner world, where I will feed my curiosity with hopefully new insights and where I am always free. I hope you feel as comfortable too in your inner world as I do at moments like this. And maybe share this episode with someone that you think would like it. Thank you, and see you in the next episode. Meanwhile, stay curious and stay free. Bye for now.